Hi everyone and welcome to our Flash Revise YouTube channel. This is the first video that we're going to be doing and this is about my unconventional journey into med school. Now the reason for this is because I believe my journey was quite weird, and it's to show that you don't necessarily have to have the best possible grades or get in the first time to actually get to med school. I'm now a final year medical student, so I'll be a doctor in 6 months time-ish. I've learned so many things throughout med school, so many things through my journey into med school, and I've helped lots and lots of students get into both medicine and dentistry. So these are just some of my stories. Okay, so let's go back to school. This was a long time ago, 2015. I did really well, as lots of kind of students do. Lots of A's and A stars. I didn't have numbers at the time, I'm getting old, so we had A's and A stars. And then I went to sixth form and I studied biology, chemistry and geography. Year 12 went quite well, I was quite confident, and at this point I'd kind of chosen to study medicine. Lots of you guys will be actually prepping for things like Y-Med, Y dentistry. So it's really important to take yourself back to kind of what the real reason for you wanting to study medicine was. And I know it's so cliche, right? I understand that we probably tell you guys not to say it like this, but I really enjoyed science. Based off that, I was looking at careers where I thought I could kind of combine things that I'm good at, and medicine really stuck out to me. I did kind of consider dentistry, but I would have found that too boring. So dentist, apologies, I'm not the biggest fan. At this point, you kind of have to figure out which universities you want to apply to. And Sheffield was my local university, so that was always going to be at the top of my list. I also applied to Nottingham, Hull York, and Southampton on their BM6 programme. Fast forward to year 13, and literally in the time period that we are in now, so like this November-ish period, you've done your UCAT. I did really well. I was super confident with my UCAT. It was stressful, so that's kind of a story for a different video, but I got there, I got the score that I needed. You're starting to wait around for offers, and I managed to get 4 interviews. So I got 4 invites to interviews. I think my first one was Sheffield, from what I remember. It went really well. All of my interviews went super well. Sheffield was a bit weird. There was one really kind of weird station about I'm thinking of an object and you've got 20 questions. Try and figure out what I'm thinking of. So I don't know if that's changed since then or if that's kind of still present, but that was something that still kind of has stuck to my mind. Now, year 13, I personally found it way harder. Like the A-level jump in terms of AS to A-level, or what it was called back in the day was called AS. Chemistry in particular was kind of like the bane of my existence. I found it super, super difficult. And I think looking back now, I probably should have got like maybe some tutoring, some extra help, but I didn't. Unfortunately, when I got offers from everywhere, chemistry was the reason why I missed out on my place at med school. So I firmed Sheffield because that was my local one. I think Southampton was my backup, my insurance. And because of chem, I couldn't get in. And I was in that weird situation, which some of you might have been in before. Some of you, unfortunately, might be in that position kind of next year. And if you're a grad and you're just kind of studying a different course, you might have been in this position. So I had 2 options. It was, do I, on one hand, kind of resit chem and resit maybe some other A levels and reapply for med, or do I look at a totally different course and just look at grad entry med? Now, on reflection, I think at the time, I probably could have made a better decision. The issue was I didn't have the best guidance. It was my first time applying to med. I don't come from a family of doctors and dentists, so it was really difficult to try and figure out what the best thing to do was. What I did was I went for option 2. So that meant reapplying to a different university course through clearing and then looking at grad med down the line. I went for neuroscience at Keele, and the reason for this is because I always really enjoyed learning about the nervous system. I like psychology as well. Keele's a lovely uni. They do lots of dual honours degrees and stuff like that. So I've got nothing bad to say about Keele. I had the most amazing time for 3 years. Right, let's go to my 3rd year of Keele. So I know I want to apply to grad med. I've had a look at unis. I'm not sure whether to do the 4-year route, the 5-year route. I'm a bit confused about the funding. I sit the UCAT again. This time I get 2,920 band 1, which is kind of more than enough for most places. It's could have gone better, but it went really well. I applied for Warwick. I applied for not St George's at this time, so that part will come up soon. I applied for, I forgot the other unis that I applied for, I'll be honest, but I managed to get offers from all of them and I firmed Warwick. In that summer of when COVID hit and things like that, I actually had to resit one of my modules in final year. That basically meant that technically I did not fulfill Warwick's criteria of you need to have a 2-1 because I did really bad in that module. So Warwick basically rejected me for that reason. When it came to the results day equivalent for grads, I didn't fulfill their end of the agreement, which In reality, I did, because a few months later, it got changed to a 2-1 anyway. For the second time in my life, I had then missed out on a med offer again. Very confusing time. Now, within that summer, I was trying to think of kind of what to do in my life, because I know I wanted to study medicine, right? I knew that that was always going to be what I'm going to do. But like, what am I supposed to do for that extra kind of gap year that I've never thought of in my life? Now, while I was thinking about this, August came up again and clearing came up again. And this time I remember one of my friends at Keele at the time said, St. George's is in clearing. Now, obviously I've watched 24 Hours in A&E at this point, right? But I've got no idea where St. George's is. I'm from kind of Yorkshire. I don't go to London that often at the time. I have no idea where in London it is, but I hear it's in clearing. I very quickly make an application. A few days later, I get called to an online interview. A few days later, I get given an offer. So I went from never considering London, never considering a 5-year course, because my offer was for the 5-year undergraduate course, and I'd got given an offer. Now, at this point, I spoke to my mum at the time and I was like, Mum, I've got this offer. It's for 5-year med. These are the funding implications, which I'll come on to in a second. And she was like, can you afford this? It's London. Like, how are you going to do this? And I took the decision, which at the time was a little naive, if I'm honest with you, but I went for it and I thought, yeah, I'm going to make it work. And September 2020, packed my bags and moved to South London and started medicine at St. George's. Technically, first year was like online-ish because of COVID, but I started med school during the pandemic, and 2020, I started, September 2020, I started med school. Now, the funding aspect is super important. So as a grad, when you're on the 5-year course, I'll do a separate video on this as well, but on the 5-year course, you get a maintenance loan, you don't get a tuition fee loan. So what that basically means is, for my degree, which is a 5-year course, I have paid practically £37,000 out of pocket. So 9,250 per year for 4 years. Your final year, which I'm in right now, is actually covered by the NHS bursary, so you don't have to stress about that. So I've paid 37k out of pocket for fees, which has been mental when I look back. And the main way I was able to do this was by tutoring. So I had a lot of experience of doing GCSEs, A-levels, UCATs, interviews, anything in between. And that basically helped me throughout the way into med school. And now I'm in final year. Currently, I'm on my GP assistantship. My finals are in April, and then I'll be starting my F1 in August. Now, I know it's a long video, it's a long journey, but my point to you is that so many people don't get into medicine first time, and there are always so many ways back in. So if it's something you're passionate about, please make sure that you understand the funding. That's kind of one big thing. Understand the funding, understand what that means, the types of kind of things that you might have to do, how much you can work and stuff like that. That's really, really important. But secondly, if it's your passion and if it's something that you know that you want to do and you don't see yourself doing anything else, then honestly put 200% into it, because I am an example of somebody who didn't come from a family of doctors, who doesn't come from money. I worked really, really hard throughout med school, and that journey kind of led me onto Flash Revise, and that's where I am today. So Flash Revise is, as the name suggests, it's the only flashcard-based tuition academy within the UK. And we have been really successful with helping students with their UCAT. We are also currently running £1 MMI webinar series, as well as launching our bootcamp for MMI prep. That's basically my journey. And I want you guys to please, if you like this video, please give it a like. If you look in the description, we'll have quite a few links for you guys to visit. We have a massive group chat full of aspiring medics and dentists. I think that's really nice because it's, first and foremost, it's free. I think there's 350, 400 students in there. Secondly, you get to know the people who are within the same boat as you, and that helps so much. Genuinely, you don't feel as overwhelmed. You've got people to share things with. We also provide you loads of other things like interview tips from doctors and dentists, TikTok video run-throughs and all sorts. I will also link our TikTok page. This is our short form content, so expect lots of short videos, lots of question run-throughs and MMI tips and tricks and stuff like that. And then also our website where you can find out more information about our bootcamp. So for those of you that are applying to med and dentistry and are currently stressed out about interviews, best of luck. If you need me, I'll also give you my email. You can always send me a message. Take care, guys. Have a good one.